right, everyone. Welcome back to the Plugged In podcast. This is episode number 23. We are 2 years old, and if you've never joined us before, this is the Plugged In podcast, a ministry of the Salvation Army here in Massachusetts. If you've never joined us before, the Salvation Army of Massachusetts, its message is based on the Bible, ministry motivated by the love of God, its mission to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and to meet human needs
in His name.
Without discrimination. There we go.
I was impressed by that.
How you guys doing?
I'm good. How are you?
It's good to be back. It's been a long time.
You know, it's been so long that when I set up the our podcast recorder, the board that we work on, there was physical dust on it, and I had to kind of blow the dust away.
Had to wipe that away.
So we're ready to go. But if you've never joined us before, welcome into the podcast. My name is Matt. I am the director of music here in the Massachusetts division. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. My name's Larita, and I am the divisional candidate secretary and associate youth secretary.
My name is Nate Heinzman, and I am the divisional youth secretary, and also work with Larita on candidates. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if that answers any question as to what that is.
No, it answers all the questions. The Plugged In podcast exists because we like to connect people, well, first of all, here in Massachusetts to our events, things that are going on, but the people outside of Massachusetts, if you just want to join us for a good time. And at some point in the podcast, we always have a Bible application. Yeah. That's what we're here for.
That's right. Sorry, I'm going to be eating my lollipops to try and not cough the whole time. So if anyone wants a lollipop, I've got some for
No, it's
you.
all right.
Man.
You know who would love one? My son, Caleb. He asks about them
Caleb?
every single day.
I will supply.
Those blue raspberry ones are pretty good.
Well, that's next on deck. So
He is Tropical Freeze here because he always asks for that one.
I'm gonna raid my cabinet and get him some tropical freeze tonight when we go to Quincy.
Nice.
So my opening thought today, it's more on the rant side.
Okay.
But it has to do with later on, we're going to wrap up our study of the book that we've been, the book club or book pod club or whatever that word
Whatever
was.
we called it.
It's been so long. Hopefully you've finished that book and you've put it on the shelf. But today is...
And we're just going to wrap it up for ourselves
Right.
tonight.
Today's the day we're going to wrap the book. But my opening rant has to do with a thought that I'll expand upon later. But I don't know what it is, but the last couple weeks... traffic has gotten to me more so than I've ever let it before.
Yeah.
It has just been soul sucking. Yeah. I can't it just absolutely blows my mind. A drive that should take 15 minutes and I'm there for an hour and 5.
That's awful.
No, but
that's terrible.
But that's been pretty routine. I cannot leave DHQ and go to my house during rush hour time without it taking close to an hour right now. Wow.
You are not far enough for it to take an hour.
No, I know. The 93, 95, it has been insane. And I find myself every single day, I mean, this sounds terrible, but I feel getting closer to whatever edge is on the edge of road rage or I can just feel anger boiling up and I don't know what to do with it. Because you can't escape it.
No. Yeah. You can't do anything about it.
No, I get really annoyed by the people who won't sit in the traffic like me and go into the shoulder and have to make their own lanes, and then they end up just causing more confusion because there's a reason why it's backed up in the first place.
I'm getting closer to being that guy because I just I need out. I don't know what to do.
I'm done.
We just went on a weekend trip to Atlanta to visit my brother Mason. His son Asher just turned 1 year old.
Aww.
Nice.
And on the drive from our house to the airport, once you get in the tunnel underneath Boston, I mean there is no escape.
No, you're stuck.
You are there.
Yeah.
And it's we were pushing the boundaries of making our flight on time, and we left 2.5 hours before the scheduled departure time, and it probably took an hour and a half.
That's terrible.
To get from our house to the airport. And it wasn't even we were going the opposite way of rush hour. Yeah, so I just I saw on social media they are. I'm not going to weigh into politics of the Boston mayoral candidate race, but I did see that a friend of the Salvation Army, Josh Kraft, has decided to run for mayor of Boston. And I just I see a lot on social media, and I just want to write please. What is the plan for traffic? Because it can't.
Here's where my vote will go.
It can't just be to incentivize, taking trains and buses more. There has to be a physical plan.
Past that.
Yeah. And if you want Boston to be in the conversation for NBA All-Star games or World Cup hosting or perhaps the Super Bowl, 0% chance. Yeah. We do not have the infrastructure to handle all the people.
Did you see the video of the tunnel roof that
it just
collapsed.
Wait, what happened?
So people were driving into the tunnel underneath Boston, and like I don't think it hit anybody, but like in between cars going by at like 50 miles an hour, like a section of concrete just fell from the ceiling.
Stop.
And smashed on the ground. But I mean, like if that had hit a car, someone's dead.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, concrete. That's crazy.
But what does that say about the greater stability of that tunnel in general? Like,
yeah, that's scary.
Is it going to implode? Who knows?
That is scary. That's the whole big dig project
dig, yeah.
that was supposed to, alleviate traffic.
Yeah.
I haven't lived here long enough to be in whoever like is a curmudgeon about that project from 30 years ago. Like that's not me, but I mean, it's real.
It's wild.
All right. Anyways, after all that negativity.
After all that.
Yeah. I had to release that. I need to.
Well, good. I hope you feel better now.
I don't know.
Until he goes home from work today, and then it's all going to be back.
Re-triggered.
I've been in a little rut. I don't know, outside the traffic. Like I just kind of like, I don't know. I felt like in a creative rut.
Yeah.
I feel like
exhaustion.
Whatever I'm making, I feel like it sucks. It just I'm serious though, because like you can get when you're creating things and you're doing projects, like you can get compliments from other people all day.
Yeah.
But until you believe yourself that like you're doing quality work or you like are really proud of what you're doing, it's hard to get out of that.
Yeah.
So I just kind of feel like in this like
too many times, like, I've made something and the person who I've made it for is like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, I hate this. Like, I don't want my name attached to this.
Yeah. But there's also the internal pressure to kind of up it every time. I've done this before. Yeah. How can I elevate this in a way? And so I think we're our own biggest critics and we're the ones who put the pressure on ourselves. It's not necessarily coming from anybody else, but I think that that's a natural thing that we're always like, how can I make this bigger and better this time around?
Yep.
You know,
I feel like that these jobs are that.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you top youth councils from last year? Or how is music conservatory going to be better? Or this is episode 23 of the Plugged In podcast. How is it better than the first 22? Like,
How's it better than episode 1?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
ooh, the old days.
The good old days.
The good old days. And we are past 2 years old, which is...
And the clock on that is Mackenzie.
Yeah, Mackenzie just had her second birthday. She got... The last couple of days, she got all the attitude in the world. She's bringing it.
I love her.
I do want to freeze her in time right now because the way she interacts with Caleb, the way she speaks her language right now, it is like a pretty precious time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm trying to get past my own the hurry that we're going to talk about in this book.
Exactly.
Like, let's get going.
No, I feel that way with Jackson too. I'm like, he's just in the past couple of days, he's been really sweet. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's going to get really bad at the end of the week. But like, wakes up in the morning, comes right over, and he's like, I love you, mommy. And I'm like, oh man, I love you so much. That's amazing. It's so sweet.
I was thinking yesterday, he was telling us about his friends at school who don't know who God is. And how he said to them, well, God created you, and was witnessing to the 5-year-old kid.
He said one of his friends said a bad word, and he said, oh, God created you. He wouldn't like that you said that. And then he said, my friend said, who is God? And I said, well, what did you say? And he said, I don't know. But I was like, okay, little guy. It was really sweet.
Yeah.
That reminded me, I just got to tell one thing and then one more.
All right.
So Heather had a conversation with Caleb the other day, and Caleb was asking, where does Jesus live? And so Heather's trying to, talk through this one. And Caleb said, oh, I get it. So we just go to church and pretend that Jesus is real. It was like something along those lines. Heather tells me this, and I was like, whoa.
Wow. That lollipop was not holding back that laughter cough. That's crazy.
He said something like, oh, so we can't see Jesus, but we go to church so that we can pretend that he's real, or like something like that. And I was just like,
it's so hard to explain to kids.
And he was very innocent about it. But
because he's genuinely trying to
process.
He's genuinely trying to process it.
Yeah. But that was like, Heather told me that. I was like, what? But
that's amazing.
Anyways, we want to highlight some events that have been in our past now, and then we have some events coming up. But I know that in the Massachusetts division, we recently just flipped the calendar on the Young Adult Retreat. Can you tell us a little bit about that event?
Sure.
Take it away, Nate.
So the very first weekend of February, we had a young adult retreat at the conference center, Camp Wonderland, or the Wonderland Conference Center, and had a great turnout. We had 53 people join us from across the division. Had an amazing speaker, Stuart Hall, who's been here before. He's really passionate about engaging this generation and really believes in the power and potential of leaders today. And so he brought a great word. The theme for the weekend was the space between, and talking about how Jesus's words fall on deaf ears if we're not living them out in the margins, living them out, like living the words that are on the page. The space in between there is our opportunity to carry it out into the world. And so it was a really, really challenging time of worship. We had great worship leaders in Shaggy and his wife Becca, who were just phenomenal and just leading us in worship.
Piercy, for those who don't know who Shaggy is.
Yes. But don't call him Andrew, because he will say, who is that?
I texted him and I said, hey, Andrew, I'm just wondering if you wanted to help us out. He's like, first of all, don't ever call me Andrew again.
Yeah, in only the way he can.
But no, they were phenomenal. We went deep. We had great conversation as well. And then we had a great time at Level 99, which if you've never been to Level 99, there are 2 locations, and I feel like I'm giving you a promo, but you need to check it out. I can't really explain it. There's one in Providence and there's one in Natick. We went down to Providence, and it's best described as like an immersive challenge arena. So you go into different rooms and you participate in different challenges. Some are physical challenges, some are very like mental based challenge, and some require a lot of teamwork. But you go into these rooms and you're timed and you have to complete these challenges. And there's maybe like 60 different challenges across the facility. So there's always something new and unique to do.
Nice.
And so our group had a great time with that, and just really enjoyed the opportunity to fellowship and spend time together in community.
That's great. If you are listening to the podcast today just on, Spotify or Apple Music or however you listen to the podcast, know that there are full videos of the podcast on the YouTube channel. And I only bring that up because Larita made a brilliant highlight reel of the Young Adult Retreat. Yeah. So on our YouTube channel, that's SAmassmusic on YouTube. On this episode of the podcast, we'll have that highlight reel playing while Nate was just explaining it. So make sure you hop over to the YouTube channel, SAmassmusic. All of the episodes of the Plugged In podcast, or I shouldn't say all, but most of them.
Most the early ones are spotty.
Most of them are there. Yeah, we had to kind of find our way. The events that are coming up, and I have these kind of in order. We have our YAM Overnighter, Youth Arts Ministry. After that, Star Search, and then Youth Councils. I'll just speak briefly about the YAM Overnighter.
Yeah.
That's coming up on April 4 and 5. The finale concert's going to be at the Boston Croc Center. I know it's like already here.
Yeah.
It's already here.
That's wild.
The finale concert is going to be at the Boston Croc Center on April 5th. That's 3:30. We hope everyone in the division comes out to support our young people. Youth Arts Ministry, we got about 70 young people and a volunteer faculty, probably north of 30.
Yeah.
A lot of young adults are helping out. And Youth Arts Ministry basically is split into 2 tracks. You've got a 13-plus track, and you got a 9 to 12 track. The kids get to study a whole bunch of different kinds of things. Very briefly, the people I want to shout out. So in my YAM band, at YAM, we have 3, maybe 4 different levels of brass.
Yeah.
We've got beginners, and then we have kind of 2 intermediate bands, and then we have the YAM band.
Yeah.
I want to shout out my horn players,
Yeah.
Phoebe and Rihanna. So if anyone's like been around my bands in the past decade, there's kind of one piece that keeps circulating amongst the young people, and it's called Dance Like David.
It's a hot topic.
I don't get it. It's fun.
They love it.
It's a fun piece. But like and I say they, I mean like literally a generation worth of young people all the time are like, can we play Dance Like David? Can we play Dance Like David? Dance Like David. But it does take like a certain ability. Yeah. So we're not always like, I always say like every 2 to 3 years, we kind of cycle through like, okay, now we can play it. But anyways, it features a prominent horn part, and I know that Phoebe and Rihanna have been practicing very hard, and they are representing horn players everywhere in Dance Like David. So that's the YAM Overnighter, April 4 and 5, finale at the Boston Croc Center. Yeah.
It's funny, that like they're playing it in YAM band, because if you're here during YAM, they're all humming it around the building, like practicing their part, or just like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, tell me what you're playing in YAM band. It's just so cute. They love it.
No, they're into it. After that, we'll have Star Search.
Yeah.
Star Search, this isn't totally confirmed yet, but we are about 99% sure that we're going to be at an off-site non-Army location. So that will be announced very shortly, but we're in the final stages of kind of dotting the I's, crossing the T's. I'm moving to a larger space for that event. So hopefully everyone listening is working on their Star Search pieces. That's obviously a great event coming up. If you have any questions about that, you can email Chris Molinaro or myself in the music department. And then after Star Search, we're in the thick of May, and youth councils, it's almost here.
Take it away.
I was going through my calendar and like putting things in. And I was like, oh my gosh, we are so close. Yep. So youth councils this year, the theme is everything. Yep. And we have a guest from the Echo Group, Samir Masad, and he's going to be our speaker for the weekend. He came very highly recommended by the previous people that we've had. We always ask our previous speakers, now that you know our kids, who would you recommend within your sphere?
Sure.
And they recommend
smart.
It's
that's smart.
The first year we had Stuart Hall. He like the first night he gave his, the message and then rewrote everything the next day because he's like, now that I know the crowd. So it's worked out well. So it's gonna be a good time. We had our first youth commission meeting to kind of start the planning process and
off and running.
And yeah.
We also have Unbound is coming from the territory. Yes. It's the territory's worship band, and they are phenomenal.
Have you heard them live lately? I mean, like,
they're great.
I'm not trying to be biased. Like, I think like Unbound could like open like a stadium concert for Lauren Daigle, or like I think they could play a stadium Christian concert.
They're incredible.
I mean, they really, really are, and they have all these interchangeable pieces and voices, and like. I always, like, every time there's a new singer comes up and leads a song, I'm just like, oh, there's no way that they're, and then it's this, like, unbelievable, unique voice. Like, it's just, it's really impressive.
And the ability to tap into so many people from throughout the territory. I think that's what I love. It's like, it's kind of a very wide reaching group. And so it's going to be good.
And there's such authenticity when they're leading in worship. It's not like, it's not a performance, that it's really like, we want to usher you into the presence of God and we're worshiping alongside you. Just wanted to speak to that theme, everything. It comes from Matthew chapter 22, which is love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And so in everything that we do, we have an opportunity to give God glory in the ways that we love him and serve others.
All right. Well, that's going to be a wrap for our event coverage here in the Massachusetts division of the Salvation Army. We're going to take a quick break on episode number 23 of the Plugged In podcast. Before we do, though, Nate, just give us a tiny teaser of what's coming up next.
All right. It is March. It's crazy, but along with March comes March Madness. So we have this year a new March Madness bracket challenge.
Oh, boy.
I'm gonna refer to it as March Fatness.
Yes.
But if that's too offensive, we can call it the Hunger Games.
Well, let's put it up to a vote. Let's put it on our socials, and we'll see what.
Hold on. I'm just gonna speak for my people. I'm not offended. So,
bro.
So I'm fine with March Fatness.
I'm fine with March Fatness.
As long as the public is fine with March Fatness, that's what we'll roll with. But it could be
so funny.
Could be called the Hunger Games tournament. Who knows? But what we're going to do, we have 32 teams, single elimination bracket style with 4 different regions, and we're going to be voting on which. In each region is going to move on. So we have a fast food region, we have a fast casual region, we have a sit-down restaurant region, and then we have a dessert/coffee region. And so these are all different food establishments that you've been to many times. And so we're going to need your help to move these people on in our tournament.
All right. So after our break here on the Plugged In podcast, we will have that March Fatness. And then to wrap our podcast today, if you're looking towards the end of the episode, we are wrapping our study of the book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. If you haven't been with us for this review of this book, essentially the idea is if you truly want to follow Jesus, then you need to embrace his lifestyle. And if you study his lifestyle, Jesus was not in a hurry to do anything. He was busy. He was busy.
But there's a difference.
There's a difference between busy and hurried. All right, we're going to take a quick break on the Plugged In podcast, and we will be right back. All right, and welcome back to episode number 23 of the Plugged In podcast. Nate, throw it your way. Sorry,
right,
Captain Nate.
Captain.
Bro. Just call me Nate.
Okay.
Bro.
Bro.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so into our March Fatness bracket.
Yeah.
So Larita does a phenomenal job putting graphic content together for our socials. And
She does.
In the next few days or so, you'll see that showing up on the socials, and you can help us vote and move these seeds along as we try to get down to the champion of the March Fatness bracket. I'm going to say it as many times as I can.
Yeah.
March Fatness.
Do we need our own socials? We've never done that.
I don't know.
Is that too splintered off?
I feel like it would be beneficial.
Well, yeah, it could be useful, but I don't want to be like, the Plugged In podcast. Like, I don't.
Snooty.
Yeah.
Nah, one army, bro. One army, one mission.
Well, if that was the case.
That's for a different podcast.
Okay,
That's a different.
That's the Unplugged podcast.
Take it away,
But
Nate.
anyways, we're going to look at our first region. We're going to go as quickly as possible through these seeds. And if you have some comments about these establishments, you're more than welcome. But
So we're going to all weigh in on them, but then the real vote is happening.
the real
on
vote is
social
happening
media.
on social.
Yeah.
So let's just say Mass Youth. I'll share it
Okay.
on Mass Music as well, but I
Okay.
think the primary voting will happen on Mass Youth.
Yeah, this is
Okay?
a democratic process.
And Instagram, that's the primary way to
Yeah.
vote. Instagram, Mass Youth, at Mass Youth. Is it underscored?
I think so. Mass_youth.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
All right, so we're looking at our fast food region.
Okay.
And so our number 1 seed is Chick-fil-A,
Oh,
facing off against number 8 seed Arby's.
Oh, okay.
that's a hard one.
No,
it's
it's
so
not.
different.
No.
I mean, it's good, but
No, Chick-fil-A wins, but like I like Arby's curly fries.
yeah, but you can like aspects and just recognize
fine.
that Chick-fil-A is dominant.
Okay.
If I had to pick between, does Chick-fil-A even have commercials? I don't think so. But Arby's are boom, boom, boom,
Oh, yeah.
boom.
yeah. It's an aggressive Arby's commercial.
My chapter from today is about Sabbath, and Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday, so the Lord is blessing their chicken. So here we go.
Okay, what's the next one?
Seed 2 McDonald's versus seed number 7 Burger King.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
you got
don't
any
really
comments
have a
on that?
weigh in on that. I don't know.
If I had to choose a burger, I think the fries, I'd go McDonald's.
Yeah, true.
Burger, I like Burger King. I feel like it's
A better burger.
yeah.
The Whopper's got mayo, which is it's.
I'm not even about the Whopper. I'm about the Bacon King.
Oh, okay.
When I go to Burger King, whatever's on the menu that says like 1,500 calories,
Yeah.
that's the sandwich I'm getting.
That's
Load
the
it up.
one.
All right.
Give me that.
Here's number 3 on the bracket, but number 1 in Matt's heart, Taco Bell
Oh, yeah.
versus number 6 Subway.
Oh, that's tough.
That is tough.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with many of these, it depends on what you're in the mood for.
Yeah, they're for
That's
different
true.
times. They're for different times.
Different times.
There's like, would you call the Subway and Taco Bell equidistant from Camp Wonderland, or is Subway closer? Because there's that one in Cobb Corner.
I'd say
Oh,
Subway's
true.
a little closer, maybe.
What do you get at
Yeah,
Subway?
why?
What's your go-to?
Oh, I'm the spicy Italian.
Yeah,
Spicy
we're too
Italian.
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you two are way too similar.
Although I do like the flatbread. Flatbread spicy
Yes.
Italian.
Yeah.
Little chipotle sauce, Okay, go on.
I also like the sun chips that they have. Anyways, number 4, Wendy's
Okay.
versus number 5, Popeyes.
Hmm.
Which again, I feel like it depends on what you're in the mood for.
It's interesting. I don't feel like I've had either one of those in a long time.
Yeah.
Really?
Wendy's is usually our like when we're driving, we'll get Wendy's, but we
Yeah.
don't do it.
The Baconator.
Like, that's him. Yeah.
Chocolate frosty though. Come on, man. Junior bacon cheeseburger.
We're the same person.
Yeah.
I'm just a foot taller, but we're the
Copy
same
paste.
person.
Exactly.
All right, and then so that rounds out the fast food region. The fast casual region.
Okay. Define that.
Fast casual, you could sit down and eat it, or you could take it home.
Okay.
I mean, you could sit down in a fast food restaurant, but it's fast casual is a little elevated in terms of quality of food.
It's a little fancy.
And you'll kind of understand that by the establishments that I'm saying here.
Okay.
Number 1, Chipotle.
Yep.
Versus
Ooh.
number 8, Domino's Pizza.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oof. Domino's is like our Sunday meal.
I instantly got hungry thinking about both of those things.
Why aren't we eating these foods as we're
Yeah.
talking about them?
Yeah, we need.
We need to fix this for next time.
We
So-
make a true fatness bracket.
I
Let's go.
don't know if you saw this. Yeah, it's sad that I saw this online, but I did. So
Interested.
Domino's just introduced for the first time ever in the history of their chain a stuffed crust pizza.
Really?
Yeah, they had some sort of
That's crazy.
corporate call that said their sales were a little bit down throughout the year or whatever, and so to regain customers specifically in our age bracket, they decided to make a stuffed crust. I don't
That
know.
unlocks a nostalgic
Yeah.
memory right there. That
That-
stuffed crust.
that's tough, though.
I thought they had stuffed crust. That's crazy.
No, Pizza Hut, man. Pizza Hut.
Oh,
Pizza Hut,
true.
Papa John's.
Papa John's.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm thinking of.
I
okay.
miss. There's not a lot of Papa John's out here.
No.
I do miss some Papa John's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a ton in Ohio.
That's a tough one. Chipotle.
That
and
is a
Domino's.
tough one. Yeah.
That rips my heart apart. Literally, the arteries.
Literal pain happening. Go
Number
ahead.
2 fast casual seed is Panera versus number 7 Panda Express. I like both of these establishments.
Okay, that's a pretty easy one for me, but I won't.
Yeah, I mean, Panda Express's prices are pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. Number 3 Raising Cane's versus number 6 Shake Shack.
Ooh.
Is Raising Cane's? Is that a here thing? I don't really know.
There's one. They just built one in Boston,
Well,
right next to the Chick-fil-A. I think Boylston.
Well, then they used to have another one because when I first moved here and I lived in Brighton and I was taking the Green Line in every day, they had one around not quite BU, but it was like the Alston area.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, I didn't know if that's a here thing or if it's
not
sounds
really.
Like it's not.
No, the first one I had been to was in Columbus, Ohio, so I don't know where it originates from.
They got good chicken.
What was it even facing? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Shake Shack.
Shake Shack. Okay, all right.
And then number 4, Five Guys versus number 5, Jersey Mike's.
Ooh. Ooh.
That's
a toughie.
As a cheapskate.
Yeah, I was just about to say
Five
this.
Guys, like, it's ridiculous
I
that
need to
it's like
split you two up.
$14
more
for
than
a
that.
burger. Like, it's insane.
If you get like it, even the junior burgers, like
Yeah,
if you get
that's what I get.
If you get a junior burger, a small fry, and a drink, that's like $20. I don't
Yeah.
think you can go there for less than $20.
We made the mistake one time of getting Jackson a hot dog, and it was like $9, and I was like, "No kid, ever."
You want to talk about mistakes? I took the entire music conservatory to Five Guys when we were on our field trip. We went to a water park, and I was just like, Five Guys was like across the street. I was like, oh, they're gonna love this.
Can't be that bad.
And then like I was sitting there, and that cash register was just like, ching, ching, ching. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble from someone.
Oh, no.
But I mean, once you're in it, like,
No,
You can't back out.
yeah,
they probably put
Anyways.
so many fries in
No,
those bags.
it's good, though. It's good. It's delicious. It's just really expensive.
very expensive.
So now we move on to our sit-down restaurants. Number 1 seed, Cheesecake Factory
Ooh.
versus number 8, Applebee's.
Oh.
Now, Applebee's, for me, when I was in college, they had half-price apps. I don't know if they
Yeah.
still do this. I went probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What's your go-to app?
I was gonna ask.
The boneless barbecue wings.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Ooh, those are solid.
Yep.
3 times a week.
3 times a week is crazy.
Yeah, I don't even think I've been to Applebee's 3 times in the past 10 years.
I feel like it's become an annual tradition at family camp every year. I think usually after like the first night,
Yeah.
like the lead up into family camp is usually so insane, the setup, and like you're just like so dog tired. And then that first night, the tech team has been like,
Yeah.
there's going to be no shame tonight.
Yep.
We're going
Going to Applebee's.
going to Applebee's. But yeah, it's
So true.
If you were to like take a picture of the table on that night each year, it's pretty embarrassing. Yeah.
No shame.
Anyways.
Fatness brackets.
Yeah, March Fatness.
I love
I'm
that.
noticing a trend. A lot of food. Okay, number 2 seed, Olive Garden versus number 7 seed, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Very different again.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got a good first date story at Olive Garden, but I'll save that for another time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the salad.
Breadsticks and salad.
At Olive Garden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Salad's great. And when they just go with the cheese and they say when, and I just never want to say when, but then I feel
just-
like
he's just
I have
watching.
to
Yeah.
say when, you know?
He's just looking
It's
at
a lot
them.
of pressure. Anyways,
Social pressure.
Yeah.
number 3 seed, Texas Roadhouse versus number 6 seed, Red Lobster.
Oh, very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Wait, Red Lobster's done, right?
Are they even around anymore?
Aren't they? I thought they were bankrupt, closing up shop.
I don't know.
Because they did that all-you-can-eat shrimp like meal. I feel
Oh,
like
that's
It, like put
true.
them out of business. Anyways,
I don't know. I haven't been to one in a long time.
I
so
guess
I'm not
I've been
sure.
reading articles about food. Like,
Matt's algorithm is phenomenal.
Those Cheddar Bay biscuits, though, are incredible. When I'm not proud to admit this, but when I was in college, I saved a Cheddar Bay biscuit, put it in my dash of my car, and forgot about it.
oh,
And then then when I realized it was there, it became a challenge to see how long I could keep it.
please tell me that this ends with you ate it.
I did not eat it, but it was in the dash of my car for maybe 7 or 8 years, and it looked exactly the same.
7 or 8.
7 or 8 years?
Yeah, yeah.
Some people's cars don't last that long.
Anyways, let's move on. Number 4.
Dear Lord.
Wait, what'd you finally do with it?
I just threw it out.
When did you throw it away? After all
it
that?
looked exactly the same, but it was rock hard. It was like,
Wait,
What made you throw it out though?
I don't know. I just like, what am I gonna do with it?
You just
put it
woke
on my
up,
mantle.
You just woke up one day and it's like, well, it's been 8 years. I'm gonna.
today's the day.
No, I think what happened was I was trading in my car for another car, and I was
Okay.
just cleaning it up.
Was that the Dodge Dart?
It was a Dodge Stratus.
Oh,
Will Ferrell.
that's
Yeah, I drive a Dodge. Yeah, that one. It was black and it was rusted out, and you could see the road while you were driving. It was incredible.
Nice.
Ohio does not require inspections, so
Apparently not.
all right. Keep going.
Number 4, Outback versus number 5, Chili's. This one's tough.
Oh yeah, that is. Tough.
Oh, when I was pregnant with Jackson, my craving was Outback wings. That was like I could
are
have
good.
that every day of the
The
week.
Kookaburra wings.
Is it Outback or Texas Roadhouse with like the peanuts, or is that both?
That's Texas
Texas.
Roadhouse. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, You said Chili's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like Applebee's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same tier.
Yeah. I like.
Yeah. I mean, the Bloomin' Onion at Outback is pretty spectacular.
Yep.
I agree.
Right. And now we move into our coffee and desserts region. Number 1, Dunkin'.
Yeah.
Of course.
New England runs on Dunkin'.
I feel like there's no place that I spend money more often at than Dunkin'. I probably have more. If you look at my average transactions per month, it's probably more at Dunkin' than any other store.
Yeah, just the frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're facing off against number 8, Crumble Cookie.
You're on the rewards, right? For Dunkin'?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Best thing.
Just making sure.
Best thing. Best decision we ever made.
So Crumble Cookie, it's pretty good.
Okay.
That was a hot spot at camp this summer.
Crumble Cookie.
Yeah, it's good. Number 2, Starbucks.
Yeah.
Versus number 7, Rita's. Italian Ice.
Ooh, that's tough.
That is tough.
Is it?
I love Rita's.
Starbucks is pretty versatile.
I'd probably vote for Rita's over Starbucks just because
okay.
because I'm cheap. So yeah, I don't want to spend that much on coffee.
Yeah.
Number 3, Krispy Kreme versus number 6, Ben and Jerry's.
I'll tell you who loves Krispy Kreme if they're listening. My dad.
Yeah?
Yeah, he will get that look in his eye talking about Krispy Kreme. If you like, he's the guy that will like wake up like when the sun comes up to make sure that he gets to Krispy Kreme. Those donuts are coming off the conveyor belt.
When the hot and ready
The
signs
sign is on.
Oh yeah, my dad's there. Every like family vacation we were on that a Krispy Kreme was in that town, like he'd like sneak out of the hotel room at like 6 a.m.
That's amazing.
And we'll come back with like a dozen donuts.
What a champion father.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's right.
We had a Krispy Kreme literally behind our house in Columbus. It was bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
And then number 4, Cinnabon versus number 5, Dairy Queen. I think the problem with Cinnabon is there's not like many of them. They're like in a mall somewhere or at a rest stop somewhere.
I'm also learning you say Cinnabon.
Cinnabon, bon.
Cinnabon or Cinnabon.
Cinnabon?
It's B-O-N. Cinnabon.
Oh, I've always said bun.
I've always said
Cinnabon.
bun.
B-O-N?
Cinnabon.
C-I-N-N-A-B-O-N?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just that's the way I've always.
I think you're wrong.
I guess I've never read it. I've just said it.
I've just said it and ate it.
I got a weird. My brain is tracking a weird way on this one, so I can't think of Cinnabon anymore without thinking about Breaking Bad. Because
my word.
Listen.
Yep.
So, but this also tracks further. I made like the worst, most inappropriate reference maybe of my like teaching career. I didn't say anything specific.
Okay.
But I'm teaching the Yam Band of like 13, 14, and 15-year-olds.
Yeah, they're right in that bracket of like.
My brain was just like, guys, do you remember in Breaking Bad? And then I was just like, wait, no.
What did I just do?
Don't ever watch it.
No, Breaking Bad is terrible. Do not watch this show.
Don't watch it.
It's highly inappropriate.
They're going to go home and say, Matt said I need to watch this so I can understand
I
this.
was like stunned. I was just like, I cannot believe I just said that out loud to teenagers. But no, I didn't say anything specific, but I referenced the show,
Just
which
enough.
I clearly love.
Just enough.
Yeah. But anyways, that's my
crazy.
Cinnabon. You know, Saul Goodman ends up. Spoiler alert.
You should have.
I'll just stop.
Yeah.
Never mind. This is not plugged in podcast topic. All right.
So yeah, that'll be coming up on the socials. So vote and see if your favorite moves on.
Yeah, so we talked about this, so I think this is going to extend 3 episodes. So
Right.
We'll have some multiple rounds of online voting.
Between episodes.
Yeah, so the next time that we talk about this on air in episode 24, we're going to be introducing the final 4.
Right.
It'll either be the Elite 8 or the final 4.
Right.
One of those. And then the episode after that, episode 25, we'll be announcing the winners.
Right.
The aim is for that to drop in early April,
Yeah.
right after the bracket kind of season wraps up.
And I think
Crazy.
whoever is the winner, we should have that on the show to announce it.
You mean?
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm down.
let's do it.
Here's to hoping it's a sit-down restaurant. We should podcast from the restaurant.
Podcast from Cheesecake Factory.
It'd be borderline sad if it's Dunkin', because we have that almost every episode.
I
Anyway.
know.
Yeah.
Every day.
I'm hoping for Domino's, so here's the pizza.
Whoa!
Can we test out the
seed
new-
runs the table.
8th seed.
Let's
be
test out
amazing.
the new pizza.
Yeah, right.
I would love it. Okay.
Stuffed crust. Okay, one more Blake. One more break
Blake.
here on the Plugged In podcast. When we come back from our break, we'll finish up our book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. We'll be right back. right, we are back. This is part 3 today of the Plugged In podcast, episode number 23. 23, right? Yeah.
Yes.
23. I get confused in there. I said this the other day because we did because the episode with Chris was a 2-parter.
We split it.
Yeah, it got released in 2 parts, but now I'm like
Where are we?
Slightly confused
Right.
about the exact number. Anyways, all right, part 3, Plugged In podcast. We're wrapping our study today of the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. We're in the part of the book, if you're following along, so it's broken into 3 sections. This is part 3, and the finale is basically practical ways to kind of unhurry your life. So today we're looking at Sabbath, simplicity, and slowing. Each one of us took a different chapter to kind of tackle and talk about today. So let's start with Sabbath.
Yeah. So in this chapter, we're exploring the biblical concept of Sabbath as a gift from God, right? That we were created, that literally created into our DNA, we were created to rest because we were created in the image of God, and God himself rested after creating the world. And so Sabbath, just talking about how countercultural it really is in our culture, our fast-paced culture of busyness, where we have to be all things at all times. He starts the chapter by talking about desire and how desire is the great motivator in our lives. What we desire, we pursue. But because of our humanness and our brokenness, our desires are never fulfilled by all the other things in this world. And so we're constantly chasing after things to fulfill the desire. And the one desire that we can't fulfill on our own is this desire to rest and delight in God, unless we are being intentional about creating space to do that. And so he talks about, from a scriptural standpoint, Jesus and his interactions with the Pharisees, and how the Pharisees were very legalistic, and when they saw Jesus healing and performing miracles on the Sabbath, how they would condemn him for that, and how Jesus responded by saying the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Yeah. That this was literally a gift that God created for you to stop. The word Sabbath come from the Hebrew word Shabbat, which means to stop, but it also means to delight. And so we need to create space to not just stop the busyness of our life, but also to find opportunities to delight in God.
Right.
And so it just kind of unpacks this concept of if we're going to truly work hard, then we need to learn to rest well. And so as he goes throughout the chapter, it really brings it home to us, thinking about the craziness of life and our responsibilities and our roles, and how it's always the next thing on the calendar, and how Sabbath is always the first thing to go because we have to justify, how many times have you heard, well, Satan doesn't take a day off? And we kind of like elevate, or kind of like, I don't know, wear our busyness as a badge of honor. Satan doesn't take a day off, so why should I? But when you come to grips with the fact that the God who created heaven and earth rested, and that Jesus himself modeled the opportunity to rest and delight and dwell in the presence of his Father, to step away, to be renewed, to be recharged, to have life, so that he could do the work that which he had been called to do. It's a humbling experience to know that if we're going to walk in the way of the Master, then we need to be intentional. And so there's some powerful quotes that I wanted to share in this chapter. It says, "We love God deeply, and it's shown in the busyness and the way that we extend ourselves to others. But oftentimes we just do not know how to sit with God anymore." And so just this challenge to not just be spiritually busy and, check the boxes and do what is expected of us, but to also sit with God and delight in him, and to find real life-giving rest in him. And so then they just take it through, Sabbath was not just a suggestion, but Sabbath was a command.
Right. Yeah.
Sabbath as rest and as worship. The Sabbath was one of it's in the 10 Commandments to keep the Sabbath day holy. And so it's a command to rest. And then Sabbath viewed as an opportunity to rest and to worship. But then he also has this beautiful imagery of Sabbath as an act of resistance. An act of resistance when God's people were set free from Egypt, and Moses took them out of bondage, and they're in the wilderness. This concept of Sabbath, for the first time, for a liberated people who had spent so much time in slavery and bondage, Sabbath became an act of resistance, an act of rebellion against Pharaoh and his empire. And so if you equate that to today's modern day life, who are the Pharaohs in your life, or what are the Pharaohs in your life that are keeping you, what are the Pharaohs keeping you enslaved and preventing you from really delighting in the presence of God?
I don't think I can say out loud.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to say people,
that's a real
but
transparency moment.
yeah,
there.
we can personalize that and say, what are these Pharaohs that are preventing me from living a liberated life in fully delighting and finding joy in the presence of God?
Yeah.
And finding freedom. And so all throughout this text, it's really just, Sabbath is not just, we go to church on Sunday. But it's reframing, reorienting, reposturing our hearts and our lives in a way so that because we keep Sabbath, we observe Sabbath, and because we live Sabbath, all the rest of the days of our week are different. And so Sabbath as a way to reframe all of our days and not just a day of rest, bringing us back into the true joy and fulfillment that is found in Christ that we can't fulfill on our own.
Yeah. Did you talk specifically about phones in your chapter at all? He brought it up in mine, and I keep coming back. A central theme in this book is there's data out there that tells us that that our phones are bad for us.
Yeah.
Unhealthy bad. But anyways, I was just curious. But thanks for that, Nate.
Yeah. Thank you.
I do not have as comprehensive of an
you
overview
do.
as Nate does.
Yes, you do.
So my chapter was simplicity. And he just emphasizes the importance of simplicity as a spiritual discipline. And it's really interesting because Nate and we just had an annual quarters inspection. So the division does inspection on the quarters, basically for property needs to make sure, everything's working okay. No major projects, but we really took it as an opportunity to declutter our house. So we went through, we had 4 or 5 bags of donation stuff, probably 4 bags of trash, just stuff that we were where did this live?
Yeah.
But he's just talking about this material excess and this clutter and the physical and the mental clutter that lives in our lives and how it contributes to a hurried lifestyle. And he mentions Amazon. He says Amazon is the new temple. And I was like, oh, shoot.
Oh, interesting.
And I was just it's true, though. Yeah. And Amazon has made it easier to add clutter to our lives and anything really web-based. It's just so easy.
Yeah.
You need this, you buy it. You need this, you buy it. But he talks about a few specific things, and he says that simplicity is about freedom. It's about less stress, less clutter, clearer focus on what really matters. And then he talks all about consumerism and how consumerism leads to a dissatisfaction and the pursuit of more and more and more and more. And then he links the ability to have more with also a generation of people who are unhappy. Yeah. And so it's more doesn't lead to happiness or joy, and it's just stuff. Yeah. And then he talks about how Jesus modeled simplicity. And I love a couple of quotes that he said that I really loved. He said the most important things in our life aren't things at all, they're relationships. And it's just good to read that as a reminder, because we know that. I'd say we would say that we know that as a truth and we want to live that. Yeah. But how often do we forget that?
Yeah. Sure.
But then he also said this, Jesus lived simply, not because he had to, but because he knew the weight of excess. And so it just kind of leads you to think about the things in our life that are materialistic, the things in our life that we have bought for, as an impulse. And I'm a terrible impulse buyer. I just said to Nate the other day, I got a notification from Old Navy that they're having a sale. And I was like, what do you need? And he's like, nothing. So, but I was searching Old Navy. Do we need it? No. Yeah. But just the idea of impulse and the ease of access to these things. But since we have really decluttered our home a lot, we went through all of our drawers, we went through Jackson's stuff, we went through the laundry room, his toys, we went through so much stuff. But the last 2 days, it's really only 3 days, every morning, we've gotten up, we've made our bed, and it's it's just kind of framed my day. I'm like, I'm proud of the house because it feels I can breathe easier. And I feel like it's led to, even at the office, being more productive and being like, there's just a desire to prioritize, I guess.
Yep.
So it's just even a mental space, but just the way that living in simplicity is not just less stuff, but it's freedom to pursue the things that really matter most, I'd say. But I was like, are you talking straight to me after the weekend that we had of just decluttering our life? But it was, again, one of those nail on the head moments where it just spoke right to me.
Yeah. The book in general, I've just found like so many things have just, I don't know.
Yep.
It just speaks right to you.
Yeah.
So my chapter was called Slowing. And this chapter was less about, it didn't have as much scripture in it, but it had 20 practical suggestions to slow down your life. So he talks about us as a society being obsessed with speed and efficiency and just about everything we're doing. And it's not that efficiency or productivity, again, is a bad thing.
I can't help but think of your traffic.
Oh, it's coming up.
Okay,
it's
sorry.
literally coming up.
I'm like,
no.
Okay, go.
No, so I just like, it's productivity and efficiency are not bad things.
Right.
But when it's prioritized above everything else.
Right.
I keep seeing, my algorithm's crazy in tune with me because I see stuff all the time that's like, here's an AI planner for your day to efficiently make your schedule, and like it's going to do it all for you and stuff like that. And it's just like this hyper efficiency model. But one quote I did want to share, he said, again, the truism, we achieve inner peace when our schedules are aligned with our values. To translate to our apprenticeships to Jesus, if our values are life with Jesus and a growing in maturity toward love, joy, and peace, then our schedules and the set of practices that make up our days and weeks, which together essentially constitute our rules of life, are the ways we achieve inner peace. So I talk with my students about this all the time, but it's that idea of it's fine to start with big, overarching goals,
Right.
long-term goals. Maybe you want to play in the New York Staff Band someday.
Right.
But then how do you fill in the
Right.
5 years that it takes to do that?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you probably need to practice every single day.
Right.
You've got to do basic things.
Yep.
You probably need to audition and get into Future All-Stars. You need to be in that crowd. You probably need to attend Star Lake. You need to get into the Star Lake band. Okay, practical things. You probably need to move to New York. Like, you want to play in the band? You probably got to, I break that down to my students all the time. Anyways,
Mini goals.
this chapter is kind of it for me in this book. So I'm going to go through quickly. Here are 20 suggestions to slow your life down on purpose. Number 1, drive the speed limit. Number 2, drive purposely in the slow lane and stay there.
Double driving.
No HOV for you.
He says just rock it with grandma in the Oldsmobile.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He wants you to watch the scenery.
Yeah.
Like see things
Take
that
it
are
in.
passing you
Be
by.
present. Yeah.
Number 3, come to a full stop at stop signs. No rolling stops.
These are so practical. I really love
I know,
this.
yeah.
I really love this.
Number 4, I'm bad at this one and it's illegal, but don't text and drive. Put your phone down. Number 5, show up 10 minutes early for an appointment without your phone. Get there early.
Read the magazines in the lobby.
Number 6, and this would drive me crazy, get in the longest checkout line at the grocery store.
Oh my goodness.
So any lane at Walmart.
I move based on which one's moving faster.
I know.
That's crazy.
Here's what he says. Well, here's why I do it, and sometimes not always. It's a way to slow down my life and deal with the hurry in my soul. It gives me a few minutes to come off the drug of speed. Here's something to pray. Okay, number 7. Turn your smartphone into a dumb phone. He says take email off your phone. Yes. Take social media off your phone. Or if you can't take those things off, set a certain time in your schedule where that's the only time you do those things. Number 8, get a flip phone. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, like
Motorola
legitimately.
Razr, let's go.
Oh, I did. Yeah, those razors.
Oh
number 9, parent your phone. Put it to bed before you go to bed and make it sleep in. Okay, so if you're going to bed at 11 o'clock that night, why don't you put that phone to bed at 9?
Nice.
Wow.
Number 10, keep your phone off until after your morning quiet time. A lot of us use our phones for alarms, and then the first thing we do when we wake up is we check our phones. And if you're getting an email or a text message from work that you don't want to see, you're seeing it at 7 a.m. Yeah.
Yep.
Number 11, set times for your email. Number 12, set a time and a time limit for social media or just get off of it. Number 13, this is interesting, kill your TV. And it kind of speaks to what I was just saying earlier. But TV is filled with a lot of garbage, a lot of lust, a lot of prioritizing of things that are not fulfilling to our lives.
Yep.
Number 14, stop multitasking and instead single task. Okay, single task. Number 15, walk slower. I said just walk slower. Enjoy your surroundings. You don't need to hurry walk everywhere. Number 16, take a regular day alone for silence and solitude. I think that speaks into, making time for the Sabbath.
Yeah, sure.
17, take up journaling. Number 18, experiment with mindfulness and meditation. Number 19, if you can, take long vacations.
Amen.
Said we've kind of all gotten in the habit of, and I literally just did this again. Like we just went to Atlanta for the weekend. So he says a lot of us go on weekend trips or we head down to the beach for a day or two. But this says take a long vacation if you can. Wow. And then number 20, cook your own food and eat in.
Timely for our fatness bracket.
Yeah. So, no, a lot of those suggestions again were practical things to slowly add up to a life that more resembles Jesus's pace. Yeah. You guys have any broad thoughts about this book in general?
I think I have appreciated the approaches to practical ways to eliminate hurry. Yeah. And I think if I think back to even the beginning, every time we're met with wow, this is speaking right to me, especially with the comparison between hurry and busy. There's a difference. And how eliminating some of those things and then adding things, silence, solitude, Sabbath, simplicity, how those things can cultivate deeper relationships, greater joys, more meaningful connections with the people and the situations around us. I think my inclination is walk fast and look like you have a purpose so that you don't get stopped to do something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's that's kind of the opposite of what Jesus did.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing that constantly resonates with me is that I just lost it.
I can go if you want to try to grab it.
Yeah, no, I'm go ahead.
I've read it, like I said, I think I've said in previous episodes, like a lightning bolt of conviction.
Yes.
I felt that for the whole book.
Same.
What I have had trouble I've had trouble putting anything into practice. Yeah. I mean, we've been reading this book, and so I guess we all work for the Salvation Army. People out there listening may not work for the Salvation Army. I think in our work culture, I guess I'm speaking for myself, but maybe you guys find similar themes. I have blurred the line, I guess, between what I think the Salvation Army expects of me and what I expect of myself.
Yeah.
Same.
So that line is pretty blurred, and I can't tell anymore if it's my career that drives me to hyper prioritize efficiency and productivity and doing the biggest and best and the greatest, or if that's not what my job is asking of me and that's just me.
Right.
That line has blurred for me, and it's hard to untangle that.
They're indistinguishable now.
And I think one of the things that we kind of talk off air a lot is part of that entanglement is this idea of when you're in these jobs in the Army, whether it's an officer or an employee, that's a whole lot of things in one. Yeah. It's your friendships, it's your faith, it's your church, it's your career. So that kind of blurred line between who you are, what you're doing, right?
The identity,
who you're doing it for,
right.
The identity, kind of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's a little bit off topic, but I appreciate this book because I think it has put to paper a whole lot of things that we think about in scattered ways. Yeah. And here's a very practical outline of here's some issues with how we live our lives. And I think it at least is setting the goalposts. That it's kind of opened my eyes to, I guess I hadn't really thought about Jesus's life in these terms before. Yeah. An unhurried life. Yeah. He was busy, but he wasn't in a hurry. Yeah. He took time constantly to rest and to pray. And then to that idea of what does it mean when he says, follow me?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yep.
Because you can do the things he does, but are you living like he lived? Right. So that idea, follow me, follow me, follow me. I think that has that's been a kind of awakening for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I had watched a video, and it was It was based on a study that they had done of people who were, nearing the end of their life and asking them, what's the biggest regret? What's the biggest regret from your life? And overwhelmingly, these people that were responding were saying, I just wish I had more time. More time to be present with my family, more time to enjoy the beauty of nature and a sunset, more time to pursue passions and things that I enjoy to do. And in reading this book, it's a reminder to me that the problem is not the lack of time. There's plenty of time in my given day, but the problem is, am I using my time well? Yeah. And so how can I reprioritize? How can I reframe? How can I declutter? And how can I make the most of those moments to be present with the things that matter, to be present in relationship with others, but first and foremost, to be present in relationship with the Lord. Yep. And I think that if we can get that into alignment, then everything kind of just falls into place. And so the challenge for me is not to beat myself up over how often I fall short, because this is a human problem. This is a problem with humanity. This is war with our flesh. But it's an encouragement, and it's a challenge that it is possible. It is possible to live an unhurried life if we make the most of the time that we've been given by centering it and posturing it in what matters most. Yeah.
As soon as you said that, life regrets at the end, I remember during our Halloween episode, I think I said my biggest fear is the passage of time. Yeah. And how you're using it. But well, I've enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I have too.
It's been good.
It took us way too long to finish.
A tiny book. And
we didn't want to hurry through it. We wanted to get slowing. Let's go.
He got it.
Good job, Nate.
You got it. If you've enjoyed following along with us in this book, and we have had several people let us know that they've been reading along, just let us know. We like hearing from the people. I almost said fans, but the people who are the listeners. If you're listening to the show and you've enjoyed reading this book with us, just let us know. I think that coming into the Easter season, we'll probably have some more material that we can go through together, and I think it's a helpful exercise for the three of us. Yeah. Let alone anyone else who's listening. Yeah. I've just kind of enjoyed chatting with you guys about this. So, anyways, that's a wrap. The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Nice.
By John Mark Comer.
Nice. Well done. That was good. Yep. I don't think I'll ever look at a grocery line the same.
I know. I'm going to think about it all the time.
Yeah. If nothing else, I will take those things away from it.
So our Walmart, side note.
Let's go for it.
Yep. Our Walmart, they got rid of self-checkout being like an unlimited amount. Yeah. And so every self-checkout is now 15 items or less. Oh. And of course, they have, like 3 lanes that are open with people and like 25 self-checkout lanes. Yep. And so I'm always trying to sneak full carts into the self-checkout lane, even knowing that it's 15 or less. And every time they have like a bouncer who's like, nope, you got to go to that line and wait in line for 40 minutes.
I was just about to say, who goes to the self-checkout line with a full cart? Well, that's never me.
No, because I know that I can be like astronomically faster,
efficient
than waiting in line. I would rather just bag my billions of groceries over wait in line.
Nate, why don't you pray? Yeah. Why don't you stand in line and pray now?
Now you better choose. You better choose the line that's all the way back through the women's clothing. And
I'm gonna wait in line, and I'm just gonna, hey, you know what? Go ahead of me. You know what? Go ahead of me, and I'm just gonna see how long I can stay there.
Let's get. Can you get video footage of this? I'd really like to
stick a GoPro on him.
I'd really like to see you do that.
Yeah, let's do it. Anyways, that's my tangent. That's my rant.
Yeah, no, I mean the self-checkout lanes. There's an issue with that whole thing in the stores. There's not enough employees. There's not
it's a whole thing.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode about how are any of us gonna have jobs in 50 years, or is AI just going to do everything? So yeah. That's another episode we had of the Plugged In Podcast. We had like Nate versus ChatGPT.
Yes.
How much has ChatGPT grown since that episode?
Yeah. I bet now that
we should do it again, and this time it'd be way better.
Because we played 20 questions.
Yeah.
And we but it was like pretty brand new.
And I don't think that you had like really done much in ChatGPT to have it know you.
Yeah. Yeah. Now ChatGPT is like planning youth council. No, I'm just kidding.
Shh, don't tell them. Don't tell them. Shh. Our guest is actually AI.
Oh, nice. Yeah, AI. Very good. All right. Well, this has been the Plugged In Podcast, episode number 23. Great to have all of you with us today listening. Join us next time, episode 24. We're going to go through our March Fatness bracket. Make sure you visit Mass Youth on Instagram to vote for those winners, and it'll be a good time. So until next time, everyone. Wait, that wasn't my tagline.
No.
It's been a while.
We'll see you. That's what it is.
We'll see you next time.
Get it?